Hi, this is Vicky here from Book to Acquire. I introduce you to the finest books and transformational ideas from world-class thinkers, experts, and achievers. In one short video, you get to learn what others may have taken months, years, or even a lifetime. Today, we'll talk about strategy. If the word strategy sounds boring, technical, or intimidating, let me tell you, it's not any of these. However, understanding strategy can make understanding any business easy. And yeah, you don't need to wear that suit either to understand or speak about strategy. Let's begin. If you want to know about an industry, maybe you are a student or you're thinking about starting a business or you're already working in a company and want to deepen your understanding, what will you do? Speak to a few people, get their perspective? Well, that's a start. But depending just on that will limit your view to the understanding of the people you have spoken to. We need to have a more systematic way to understand an industry. How do we do it? Thankfully, Michel E Porter, known as the best strategy thinker of the world, has developed a framework to do just that. It's called Potus 5 Forces. Potus 5 Forces is an analytical framework to evaluate the profit potential and level of competition in any industry. Especially useful when starting a new business or when entering a new industry sector. If you look at a house blueprint, its structure immediately gives you an important information about the house, what will be its shape, and how it creates the living space. The structure is made up by elements common to all houses: the foundation, the walls, the roof. Potter's 5 Forces framework does the same. It gets you important information about an industry by looking at its structure. And the particular configuration of Potter's 5 Forces tells you immediately how the industry works, how it creates and shares value. Here are these 5 forces: the bargaining power of the customer, the bargaining power of the supplier, the threat of the substitute, the threat of new entrants, the intensity of rivalry among existing competitors. 5 forces analysis answers the key question: what's going on in your industry? But before we understand these 5 forces, a little bit about why a business exists. What do you think? Most businesses exist to make a profit by providing a service or a product which its customers value. No profit, no business. And what is profit? It's what you get to keep after deducting the cost from the price or earnings. Now that we understand profit, it's easy to see how these 5 forces impact this equation and determine the profitability of any industry or company. First force, the bargaining power of customers. If your company has powerful customers, they will use their clout to force prices down. They may also demand that company put more value to the product or service. This is very common in business-to-business setups when a big corporate or industrial buyer has clout to push the prices down. However, same company selling their product to a retail customer will charge a much better price and profitability because each individual customer represents only a tiny fraction of business and can't influence the prices on their own. Second force, the bargaining power of suppliers. If your company has powerful suppliers, they will use their negotiation leverage to charge higher prices or insist on more favorable terms, lowering companies' profitability. Makers of personal computers, PCs, have long struggled with the market power of both Microsoft and Intel. There are hardly any alternatives to these suppliers, so they charge a premium, while any PCs or laptops are as good as any other and can be replaced anytime. If you noticed, in both these forces of buyers and suppliers, there are few factors which increase their power and hence lower the profitability of an industry or a company. One, how big they are versus a fragmented set of multiple entities. How many alternatives are there? Less alternatives for you as a company means more dependency and hence less profitability. And third, how differentiated the product is. More generic the product, less is your profitability as a company. Third force, the threat of substitutes. Substitutes are products or services that meet the same basic need as the industry's product but in a different way. So that puts a cap on industry profitability. It's not a direct competition but an offering which can be used to solve same customer problem. Consider flying from Delhi to Jaipur. That's always an option, but then the rail journey is super comfortable and considerably cheaper. And since roads are also quite good, so consumers also choose to drive for the same journey. So more the substitutes available for a product or service, profitability tends to go down. Fourth force, the threat of new entrants. Entry barriers protect an industry or company from new competition who would add new capacity and seek to gain market share. Initially, higher profits attract the attention of new players to jump into the fray, but once the market is crowded, everybody struggles for profits as buyers have multiple alternatives for similar products. When are entry barriers high? Capital-intensive industries needing a lot of investment upfront, like infra or pharma, have high entry barriers. Companies with huge scale economies like Walmart, which can procure its stuff at very cheap price from their suppliers versus the competition. And companies with network effects like Facebook, where because of the presence of all friends on one platform make it difficult to shift to a new platform with no friends. Fifth force, the intensity of rivalry among existing competitors. Industry where rivalry among the competitors is intense, profitability will be lower. Price competition is the worst form of rivalry for companies. It usually happens because the product offer is very similar, and also if product is perishable and will result in loss if not sold. Airline and hotel industry is highly impacted by this force, pushing the profitability down. Another example is when Netflix started in India, it charged a premium price, but soon market was crowded with similar quality streaming services like Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, and dozens of regional and mostly free services. Result, Netflix had to introduce a cheaper and mobile-only plan for India, limiting their profitability per subscriber. These are the 5 forces that impact the profitability of any business. The 5 forces framework applies in all industries for a simple reason that it encompasses relationships fundamental to all commerce. Those between buyers and sellers, between sellers and suppliers, between rival sellers, and between supply and demand. Think about it. This covers all the bases. The 5 forces are universal and fundamental. However, memorizing the 5 forces won't make you a better business thinker. What matters is that you grasp the deeper point, which is there are limited number of structural forces at work in every industry that impact profitability in a predictable way. A good 5-force analysis allows you to see through the complexity of competition, and it opens the way to a host of possible actions you can take to improve performance. As an example, Apple was successful to create a strong market for its MacBooks despite the powerful alliance of Microsoft and Intel. It did this by making these 5 forces work in its favor. It made extremely well-designed machines, not anything like existing products, wanting buyers to own one, and in fact, in this case, buyers were proudly bragging about their machines getting a cult-like status for the products of Apple. It made its own processor and operating system, neutralizing the power of suppliers. And Apple did this while market was flooded with cheap Me Too black boxes by making these forces work for them and earn significantly higher margin and loyal fans. Now you can take your favorite company or industry you are interested in and draw this 5-force analysis to have a better understanding of your industry dynamics. Be a smart business thinker. That was it for this video. Hope you found this useful. Let me know in the comments below which company or industry you're interested in to understand deeply. If you like this strategy summary, do share it with someone who might like it as well. If you didn't like this video, please share any specific feedback for me to improve. Have fun and be limitless.